So just a quick comparison of two problems that are almost the same except they're asking for something different. This question is asking for the odds ratio for birds that fly having long beaks against birds that do not fly having long beaks. So with each of these problems, there's like a condition that we're trying to check. I was working with a student just a second ago, like having insomnia or like having high blood pressure, or there's some sort of ailment that's going on that we're trying to like find out what the percentage chance is compared to another group. So in this one, what is the odds ratio for birds that fly having long beaks? They're saying birds that fly is our group and long beaks is the ailment, okay? Because they're saying what is the odds ratio for birds that fly? They're trying to, when they say for birds that fly, that's identifying the group. And having something is like having the condition. So long beaks is the condition that we're comparing it to. Okay, so the odds ratio for birds that fly having long beaks. So for that first part of the sentence, birds that fly having long beaks, there's 11 birds that fly that have long beaks, and there's 7 birds that fly that do not have long beaks. So we want to compare that to birds that do not fly having long beaks. So do not fly is the group and long beak is the condition. So there's 3 birds that do not fly that have long beaks, and we compare that within its group to the 13 birds that do not fly and do not have a long beak. And so to find the odds ratio, a ratio is just when you're dividing two things. Okay, so you want to divide the odds ratio for that first group and the odds ratio for that second group. And so if you do that, I think they want decimals with these. So I'll do 11 divided by 7 first, 1.571. Just carry out some decimals. Don't just do 2, do at least 4, because sometimes those decimals can spill over because of the division or multiplication calculation. 3 divided by 13 makes 0.2308 when we round. And now if we divide those, that's 6.808, so 6.81. So this number makes sense with the table that we have. Look, birds that fly, there's 11 that have long beaks compared to 7 that do not. Birds that don't fly, there's not many of them that have long beaks compared to those that do not. So this ratio should be large, and it is. It's 6.81 times greater chance of having long beak if you fly. Relative risk is different. This is the same table, I think. The difference is that they're asking for what is the relative risk of having long beaks for those birds that fly. So when you do relative risk, what you're doing is you're dividing the probability of having that ailment by the probability of not having that ailment. So long beak is like the ailment, and the probability that we have was the relative having long beaks for birds that fly. There's 11 out of 19 birds that fly that have long beaks. So that's our estimated probability based on the table of being a bird that flies and you have a long beak. And so we want to divide that by like the control group's probability of having a long beak. There's 3 in the control group, the does not fly group, out of 15, or it doesn't have to be the control group, in whatever the other group is. And so if you divide those two, same thing, just calculator work, right? So 0.5789, and you divide that by 3 out of 15. I'm a math teacher, I should already know that's 0.2. So that's 2.89. We round to the second decimal place.